I hope.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Can I welcome my honourable friend to her place, and can I urge her to continue the work of the former cycling minister and Active Travel England, who were enthusiastic supporters of the improvement and upgrading of the cycle route between Newcastle and Hexham, and then ultimately to Carlisle in a cycle superhighway. This has the treble benefits of obviously increasing commuting capability, cutting cost of living, but also creating a both active travel and a tourist destination.
Mr. Speaker, my parliamentary neighbour is nothing if not a champion for all things active travel, and I would be very happy for him to sit down with the new cycling minister to discuss in more detail. I agree with him absolutely that those important cycleways which offer a whole series of new economic opportunities are the ones we need to look at and get those spades in the ground as quickly as possible.
Secretary of State.
Mr. Speaker, the Department estimates that a minimum of £4.4 billion is likely to be required to meet its cycling and walking objectives to 2025, and further, a minimum of £5.5 billion is likely to be required to meet the objectives to 2030. The actual amount will obviously depend on a wide variety of factors.
Mr. Speaker, I'm sure the Minister will agree that there's nothing nicer than seeing school children in local streets learning in a supervised way how to cycle safely, particularly post-pandemic, where cycling and interest in cycling has really grown. Will she commit today to ensuring that there is sufficient funding for every single local authority to maintain their cycling classes so that children can learn and so that we can tackle air pollution together by having more children cycling safely on streets and being taught manners and the best way to cycle in our local environments?
Minister.
Well, I agree with the honourable lady that it is really important that we learn from a young age how to cycle, how do we cycle safely, and of course that will ensure that as children grow older they'll be more willing to have active travel rather than in cars. But I can assure her that the government will offer cycle training to every primary school child in England, building on the record of 500,000 training places being offered in 2022-23.
Steve Bryan.
Earlier this month, 250 cyclists took part, including me, in the Cycle Winchester mass ride around the city, and during conference recess I took part in the school cycle bus from Twyford into Winchester. It was potentially a better use of my time. We're excited by the Mini Holland schemes that are already invested in Hampshire, and in a few weeks I'll be taking a walk around in the city to see the work that we've done investing in plans for that. So could the Minister tell me whether the government's committed to the Active Travel Fund and when the fourth tranche of applications to it will open?
Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I'm delighted to hear about the honourable member's active travel, I remember as well he has a very impressive company in his constituency which converts bicycles to electric bicycles, and of course announcements in relation to the fourth fund will be considered and made in due course.
Brennan.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. The Minister just outlined in her reply that there's nearly £10 billion worth of investment will be required in order to meet those targets. One of the great things about, the only good things coming out of things like COVID has been this expansion of cycling networks and the opportunities to do that. Will she guarantee to the House today that this will not be one of the areas that will have to be cut as a result of the government's economic plans?
Minister.
Well, I'm very pleased to tell the honourable gentleman that we've already spent significant funds on active travel. There are core funds that are available, but there are also funds from other departments, the Levelling Up Fund, the Highways Maintenance Fund, the Future High Street funds. So much of that money is already committed. And I would like to remind the honourable gentleman about the poor record that the Labour Party had in terms of funding for active travel, which was significantly less than we have put in already to this important affair.
Chair of the Select Committee, you, Marman.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And can I welcome the entire ministerial team to their positions? I understand that they will want to take time to consider the various matters in front of them, but can I ask them to recommit to page 53 of the Decarbonising Transport Plan, £2 billion to active travel, to ensure we meet a target of 50% of all urban journeys conducted by active travel, Do those two commitments stand today?
Minister.
Well, I have read the Transport Decarbonisation Plan, and I'm aware of the importance of active travel. And I didn't particularly notice what was on page 53, but thank you thank the honourable member for raising it. As I've already said, the government is committed to active travel. We've already committed £4 billion through a variety of measures through the Department of Transport, but also across government. We're absolutely committed to ensuring that active travel remains on our agenda.
Ruth Cabley.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As co-chair of the Transport Safety APPG and also a resident and MP in London, I know that a default ban on pavement parking works. There can be exceptions. Across this House, MPs representing English constituencies have been demanding a ban on pavement parking. We're still waiting for the outcome from three consultations of almost 2 years ago. When will the Department of Transport come forward with a plan to ban pavement parking in the rest of England?
Secretary of State.
Mr. Speaker, this is an issue that is personally very important to me and one that we will be continuing to work through at pace and as soon as parliamentary time allows, make sure that we bring forward the legislation that we need to do.
Andrew Salu.
We do need that fourth round of the Active Travel Fund because this not only reduces greenhouse gas emissions, it also reduces congestion, improves health and frequently increases economic activity through extra footfall. So will the government commit to it?
Minister.
The honourable member is right. Active travel is very important, and further information on the process will be published shortly.